Hi everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to our second virtual cooking masterclass. The series has proven to be popular amongst all the foodies, and we're so very excited to be able to offer you an extraordinary cooking experience via the digital space. We're also very excited to welcome Checkers on board as official partners of the series. The Herald, along with Capsicum, look forward to collaborating with Checkers in bringing you all a fun-filled experience within the kitchen. Don't forget, we've got the ThreePeaks Wine competition. 20 lucky participants who are joining us today can stand a chance of winning a bottle of ThreePeaks wine and a branded chef's apron. And also, one lucky participant can stand a chance of winning wine for a year. All compliments of ThreePeaks. Have a look at our Herald Live Facebook page for more information as well as terms and conditions. Let me hand over to our host, Chef Nadia. Chef Nadia Pillay, she'll take you through a short intro before we commence in the kitchen with Chef Donovan. So we hope you have a good time during the session. Have fun. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Capsicum Culinary Studio along with the Herald with our online cooking class. Today we'll be making a butternut and pumpkin seed ravioli with a burnt sauce, butter sauce with basil. And we'd like to thank Checkers for sponsoring all the ingredients for today's recipe. And I'll hand over to Chef Donovan.
Hi guys, we're back again with another masterclass brought to you by Herald, Checkers, ThreePeaks Wine, and Capsicum Culinary Studios. For your recipe, I've asked you guys to prepare cubed butternut, but let me make the job easier for you. I'm going to show you how to cube the butternut, and then from there we will then start our pasta recipe. Okay, so how to make butternut easy? We always top and tail in the kitchen. So topping and tailing means that you cut both ends off your vegetable. It can be any vegetable, right? And then we're actually going to slice down and peel our butternut. And we don't have to use that cumbersome sort of peeler. And this makes the job much faster. Okay, see, quick and easy. Okay, so once we've got our peel off there, we're going to then just slice. Just remember, the smaller the cubes, the quicker it will cook. Right, so I've done slices about yay thin. And then I'm just going to copy the same size going to the other side of the butternut. Making little chips. And then from there, when you slice it the same width to the other side, you've got your butternut cubes.
Chef, what size knife would you suggest? Because most people would use any knife in the kitchen. What knife would you suggest when you're busy with butternut specifically?
Butternut specifically, I would use a larger knife. That makes sure that you can handle the knife easily. And the blade is not quite close to your fingers because you know that the butternut peel is quite hard, Chef Nadia, and it can slip, right? So I prefer using a big knife, but what I tell my students is that you must use the knife that you feel comfortable with. But we must try and steer away from those small little peeling knives, right? Especially hard, I'll call it the fruit, because it is classified a fruit, but your hard vegetables, such as butternut and pumpkin.
Sanika says that it's very dangerous, even though a chef is busy doing it at home.
Okay. Not dangerous, Sanika, if your knife is sharp. That's the one secret for chefs. Always have a sharp knife. You won't struggle cutting. Once you start slicing and cutting, that adds more danger to the situation. So it's actually not that difficult. Okay. Can you see, quick and easy? It doesn't take a whole Sunday morning, right? So what you want to do is your butternut should fit loosely into a roasting tray. We're going to then add our 2 knobs of garlic, 2 cloves of garlic. And you don't have to, you just peel that, and you don't actually have to cut that up. And then just to get the roasting on, we're going to drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. I suppose sunflower oil is also good.
And then would you say bottled garlic would be okay as well? And would we adjust the amount if we had to use bottled garlic?
Just be careful when you use bottled garlic, Chef Nadia. It has got a tendency to burn, especially when we are roasting in the oven. We don't want to adjust the temperature too much. So I would go for whole garlic, preferably. If you're using cut up garlic, then rather put it in sort of 10 minutes before the end of the cook, such as what we're going to do with the basil leaves. Right?
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just pop that in the oven. Remember, if you cut it small, it's only going to take about, I know the recipe that I sent in there says 50 minutes. You should be ready about 15 to 20 minutes, right? So now we're going to move on to the actual pasta. You guys have received a recipe that says they prepared pasta dough. Guess what? We are preparing it. Right? Okay, so what we need for the pasta, guys, and I'll give you some time to run to the cupboard quickly, is 100 grams of cake flour, 1 egg, a tablespoon of olive oil, and a pinch of salt. And that's all you need. So no going to the shops and buying that expensive pasta on the shelf anymore. I'll show you how quick and easy it is. So roughly 100 grams of flour. Depending on the egg size, right? You're going to adjust with flour as needed. Because we get medium-sized eggs, extra large eggs, and large eggs. So depending on the egg size, that's the amount of liquid that you're going to add to your flour. If it's a bit loose, you're just going to add some more flour. That's how easy pasta recipe is. And we're using a whole egg. I just made a well in the center of my flour, and I'm just going to give that a mix up until all the flour is absorbed by the liquid.
And then any specific flour you should be using?
00 flour is the best flour. Sometimes it's difficult to find, especially now with the shops not having all the ingredients. A light wheat flour, but I'm using cake flour. Very light flour. You don't want to use bread flour. It becomes a little bit heavy. Right. I'm going to add in my 15 moles of oil. That's a tablespoon of oil. Then I'm going to start to bring my dough together. This morning I posted there, we're going to do it housewife style, which means we don't need to have a lot of equipment at home, right? We're just going to rough it out. Just to show you how easy making your own pasta is.
Okay, so this batch that we're making, how much ravioli do you think we'll get out of this?
I'm thinking around about 12. Right? Remember, this is the standard recipe for your pasta dough. So if you were to up your recipe count, you can just then double your recipe, quadruple your recipe, whatever you need. Okay. So now our dough is coming together.
So I've got another question here from Salika. She says she only has self-rising flour.
Okay. Self-raising flour has got a raising agent in it. That we use more for baking things that needs to rise. I wouldn't suggest that you use self-raising flour. It's going to swell a bit too much when you're resting your dough. Okay. Just going to lightly flour my surface. Can you guys see the dough coming together? You don't want your dough to be too dry or too sticky. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem getting it through your pasta machine. Today, I'm just going to show you the settings on the pasta machine, but we're going to be rolling by hand. So I just want to bring that dough together with no flakiness. Otherwise, you'll have a broken pasta. Okay.
And then this dough can be used for various types of pasta.
Various types of pasta. What are you thinking of, Chef Nadia?
Spaghetti, macaroni, tagliatelle.
Basically, that is your pasta dough recipe, what all pastas are made from, right? The ones that you get on the shelves has been dehydrated, which means they've been hanging and dried out with special machines, and then they are packaged. This is fresh pasta dough. So the texture you're looking for is sort of pliable and not sticky at all. Then I'm just going to wrap it up in some cling wrap, set it aside for about 10-15 minutes. Half an hour is a good time, and then you'll see how the dough will relax. Okay. Okay. So Chef Nadia, I'm going to turn the tables on you. Why do we get different shapes of pasta?
They're not the different regions.
Yeah.
And to absorb different sauces.
Here we go. So pasta is shaped in different ways and forms. You've got ones with ridges, right? They're called riga. That means that the sauce needs to be just thick enough to go into those grooves. So the different type of sauces is going to determine what type of pasta you're going to use, right? The thinner the sauce, you'll see little long pieces like your spaghetti, your tagliatelle, your farfalle. All those are meant for lighter sauces. Those are creamy sauces. And those ones, they're called lunga, which actually means cat's tongues or lick. So it just licks the sauce. And that's why they are longer pastas. Right?
Okay, Chef, we've got a few questions. Alberto wants to know, can you use your Kenwood dough hook to make pasta?
Yes, of course. I showed you how easy the dough is. It's a very forgiving dough. And if you use your dough hook, it will actually work and ply the dough faster. Very good. Yeah.
And I've got another one from Tracy. What temperature is the butternut cooking at?
Okay, so I've got this thing with my oven. I always put it on 180 for some reason, right? That's for me the safe temperature. Your butternut should be 180, 160, between 160 and 180. That's good. You just keep an eye, and when it starts browning, then you know you've got a nice roasted flavor on your butternut.
Thank you, Chef.
Okay.
And then Gloria wants to know, for how long can you use this dough and can you freeze it?
Okay, you can freeze the dough. I wouldn't advise it though. Fresh pasta dough, if you want to freeze it, you should shape it before, right? And then you have to line each layer with some cling film, and that actually freezes well. Fresh pasta dough you can keep in the fridge for up to 5 days. Right. So true TV fashion, I've got a dough that we prepared earlier. Right. Just to show you the texture. Right. Now it's become soft and pliable. Remember, I'm going to show you guys how to then work your pasta by hand. So I've got a nice little rolling pin here. I'm going to dust my table with some flour. Place the pasta. Another chef's tip. The shape that you are making, you always want to shape your dough, any dough, bread doughs, pie crusts, all those. Already shape it in more or less the shape that you want at the end. If it's going to be round, it's going to come out round. If it's rectangular, it's going to come out rectangular. This instance there, for instance, if you want to make lasagna or any pasta shape, we're just going to do a nice rectangle. Get that out of the way.
Okay, so Brent says after lockdown, he's going to go work at a restaurant and he's going to be a pasta expert. You've inspired somebody already.
Brent, thank you very much. I take it as a compliment, right? This is your basic pasta dough. Once you get into pastas, you'll see how nice and easy it is. You'll be having pasta every night. I'm using the pasta, the rolling pin from the center backwards and from the center forwards. In that way, you don't exert so much energy. All right? So I'm basically shaping there. For the ravioli that we're making today, you don't want the pasta to be too thick, because remember, when we boil pasta, it actually swells up, and that you will see with your ready-made pastas as well. They swell quite a bit. So you're looking for around about, I would say about a 2 millimeter thickness. That's what I'm trying to achieve here with the rolling pin.
Okay, I've got a question from Celestine. Would overworking your dough have a negative effect?
Yes, especially with the rolling. We want to manipulate the dough, right? But overworking the dough, remember my story of last time about the naughty child. The more you tease it, the more resilient it will be. So it will be too elastic for you to shape. If you make your shapes, it's going to actually shrink in size. So you don't want to overwork it, right? Pasta doughs are quite easy to work with. So this you need to shape out. But that's what the resting is for, right? That 10 minutes, 15 minutes I spoke about earlier, that is to make the dough relax and lose that resistance.
Okay, thank you, Chef. Then we have a question from Leslie. Why does the dough crack? Is it the air or not enough moisture?
I would say it's not enough moisture. Remember what I explained to you about the egg earlier on, right? So let's give you a scenario. If I gave you the 100 gram of flour recipe and you feel that your dough is cracking, remember your two liquids that you're adding. It is oil. Oil is there for elasticity. The egg is there for extra moisture as well and holding the pasta together. So if it's not holding the pasta together properly, it means there's too little of that. So I would maybe whisk up another egg on the side and just add a little bit at a time until I get the dough that I need.
Thank you, Chef.
Okay. So mine is about ready. Okay. Remember that if you're following this recipe and your butternut hasn't cooked yet, this then can go into the fridge, waiting for you to actually shape. Okay. So today we're just going to carry on.
Would we put it on a cling wrap layer or on parchment paper before putting
Cling wrap, you want to avoid evaporation of moisture, right? And you don't want the pastas, especially if you're making more than one leaf, you don't want them to stick together. Right? So cling wrap, refrigerate, because it's fresh pasta. Okay. Chef Nadia, would you like to demonstrate one of your sauces while my butternut is roasting? I'll hand you guys over to Chef Nadia. Besides the burnt butter sauce that I'm going to be showing you, Chef Nadia is going to show you a quick and easy sauce to make as well to serve with pasta of this type.
Thank you. So I love doing fusion sauces. We're doing an Italian style ravioli, but I'm going to do a Thai style cream sauce with it because that's just my favorite thing to do. Mixing it up, breaking the rules a little bit. It's just like this.
I've got it on there. Which one you want, Chef?
So from here.
Let's use that one.
So we'll just turn the heat down to medium. So we'll drizzle some olive oil, about 1 teaspoon. And heat up a little bit. So this is a very basic, simple sauce. It's 3 ingredients. Okay, so I've got onions chopped up already. Try and get your onions diced very finely. So you're just going to cook them until it's translucent. You're just releasing all that onion aroma just to get the flavor in there. Okay. Then you'll take one chili. You can take the seeds out or seeds in, depending on how much heat you actually like. So I've got one chili minced up as well. Okay, you guys won't be able to smell this, but
Smells lovely, chef.
releasing all that flavor.
So, chef, is there a chance that I can burn my my chilies?
Yes, you can. So you need to watch your temperature, you need to watch your heat. You don't want it on there too long. You just want to basically release all that aroma by getting a little bit of heat onto it.
Okay.
Okay. So depending on how much or how many of your ravioli you're going to put in the sauce, I've got 250 mils. Okay, I'm using fresh cream.
Remember, guys, all these ingredients that we're using today, you can get at your local chicken store.
So you'll see the little onions chopped up, chili floating around. We're just going to reduce the sauce a little, just to get some color in there. Then I've got some chopped up coriander that I'll add later on. So we can let this sauce reduce for about 5 minutes, maybe less, depending on your heat setting. And then I'll add the coriander in a little bit. Do you want to take over, Chef?
Yes, thank you, Chef Nadia. So by reducing sauces, you're actually intensifying the flavor, right? Reducing means to just make less, exactly what the word says. And I would reduce cream to about half, and that will give you the right consistency or what we call in the industry napa consistency, which means it should nap the back of your spoon without slipping off too easily, right? And that will be the right consistency then to coat your pasta, right? If you can coat your spoon, it will coat your pasta.
Yeah, I've got some more questions, Chef.
Sure.
Gloria says she saw a pasta dough recipe using flour, lukewarm water, and salt. Will there be a difference in texture?
So your recipe there would be an eggless pasta, right? There will be a consistency difference, is that it will be slightly more elastic, right, than your egg pasta. The egg actually softens it and it gives you pasta color. That will be more used for noodles and for people that don't include egg in the diet, right?
So more Asian style noodles and
more Asian style, yes.
We can just drop the heat on that, Chef. Thank you. Then Celeste wants to know how thick the pasta should be.
Okay, Celeste, you're looking for about 2 millimeters. Yeah, just about 2 mils. Remember, it mustn't be too thin, otherwise your filling is going to actually fall through. And you're going to boil your pasta. So not too thin, 2 millimeters should be fine, and that will give enough bite and not too thick for it to be chewy, I would say. Okay. Okay, so if you guys are ready to move on to the next portion of your recipe, we've got our lovely roasted butternut that we roasted with the 2 cloves of garlic, right? What we want to do is we want to just add it to a blender jug. Guys, if you don't have a stick blender or a blender at home, the butternut is soft enough to then press with a fork, right? But then I would suggest if you're using pine nuts, or like us, we are using pumpkin seeds, is to just give them a little bit of a chop, right? So we're going to just use half of the quantity of the nuts, and then half of the quantity of Parmesan cheese. And then we want to blend that to a nice creamy consistency. Right? I need to also add my garlic in there as well. And basically you're just going to blitz that or mash that to consistency of a nice creamy paste. Right? So today in the studio or in our practice kitchen, we've got, I'm just going to show you the reduction of the sauce as well. Nice and thick now, right? We're just going to go a little bit more because it hasn't got the consistency that we need. In our studio, we've got Janelle, who is one of our current students. He's doing a 3-year course, and that's called the Advanced Course in Culinary Arts. I'm going to ask Janelle just to take this away from us and give it a nice blitz while we prepare the pasta. Thank you. Just say hi.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay, so while the butternut is getting pureed, I'm just going to finish with the sauce. So what I have is chopped up coriander. Okay, so you can do one of two things. You can either finish up your sauce, add it to a blender as well, and then add your coriander, which will give you a nice green color. Or you can just roughly chop it or finely chop it and just add it to your sauce so that you have some texture with your ravioli as well. Okay, so you stir that in. Okay, so what you can do, basically, like I'm coating the back of the spoon, you can see that the cream is coating it nicely. You'll let it reduce a little more because we don't want to have it transparent. We want it a little bit thicker than what it is right now. So we'll let this reduce on a slow heat. And we will season with salt and pepper at the end and then finish with a teaspoon of butter just to add some gloss, and the butter will help thicken it up a little bit as well.
Thanks, Chef Nadia. I can just get my pasta dough there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a little hack with filling your raviolis. Right? Nice ice tray. Right? That will give you a nice, easy way of shaping your pasta. What I want to do, or what you want to do, is half of the tray and let the other part overlap, right? Because this will be your folded part. What we want to do is we want to just put filling where those little pockets are, right? And that will give you that 2 finger spacing in between each filling. We're going to fold those little pockets, fold over the pasta, and then we're going to press it down where it sort of meets, and that will give you your little ravioli. Right? That's for the housewife at home. It's like, Chef, I don't have a pasta machine. I don't have cutters.
And then, is there another way we can do this without a pasta machine, Chef Donovan?
Another way we can roll or shape?
Shape.
Okay. Other way to shape is your pierogi style. Right? So we can make a little pierogi. What is a pierogi?
Yes, Chef. What is it?
Basically a Portuguese pie. You know, those ones that you get on your platters. The pierogi is a pastry that you're actually going to boil instead of fry. Right? So you want a nice cookie cutter, and you're going to cut your shapes out of your dough. Like so. We're going to then put our filling on the one side, fold over, a little water, and then press with a fork on the sides, right? And then you'll also have your little ravioli. Coincidentally, Chef Nadia, little ravioli, they're called raviolini, smaller portions.
So that's what the yini part is.
The yini is the smaller portion. Okay. Thank you, Janelle. That was fast. Okay, so you should have a nice, good paste. Mine is nicely roasted, so it's a dark color. Right? Just gonna,
Show our viewers.
yeah, just gonna pop that in there. And guys, you can fill your ravioli with any filling that you love. I particularly like goat's cheese. I'm also a big fan of basil, coriander, those sort of flavors. I like Thai flavors, so I would mix my two. I'll make my Italian with my Thai, and I'll add some chili with cheese.
You can even make your own cheese.
Yes.
So let's give them that tip.
Okay. So your paste should be something like that there, right? If you find that it's too pasty, you can add a little bit of cream just to loosen it up a little. You don't want it too loose though, because you are now filling little pockets. So I've got a little pizza cutter, or a pastry cutter, sorry. I just want to define my shape a little bit more. Cutting a little rectangle. So I want to start with 1 teaspoonful of the ravioli mix, or the butternut mix. And I'm going to try to avoid the corners, because that's where we need to actually stick them together, right? Remember your 2-finger spacing in between each mound. And we're going to continue. If you've done it in the pasta machine, you should have a nice long sort of ribbon, right? At the moment, I've got a shorter square.
Chef, I've got a question from Gloria. With what do we serve this dish?
Okay, so the burnt butter sauce that I'm going to show you, right, and that will finish off the dish. And then also Chef Nadia's a nicely reduced cream sauce. Your ravioli, depending on how your family like to eat, there is how many portions of ravioli actually going to give them. But the dish is complete, just the pasta with the sauce.
Always best as is.
As is, because you've got your filling, you've got your pasta dough, and you've got your sauce on one plate. Okay. Janelle, can I just get a little water, please? Okay. Make sure you've got a little water or a paste with you, so you can just stick down the sides, right? We want that so that the pasta can actually adhere to one another.
Sudisha has another question. She's speaking about white or red wine. So if we had to make a wine sauce, what type of wine would you suggest we serve with our ravioli?
Think of the filling that you're making. Depending on the filling, will be what you serve it with. With this particular one, creamy sauces, you know that butternut goes well with cream. So I would do a nice white wine like a Chardonnay, something simple like a champagne even. Champagne sauce also works very nice with butternut.
Thank you, Chef.
Okay, so I'm just dabbing around my filling, right? Just making little, I want to just seal my pasta.
I just want to emphasize, Chef, how important is it to seal off your pasta before cooking?
Well, once it hits the water and the pasta cooks, it might just burst open. Your filling will then land up in your water. So it is very, very important to seal your pasta. Okay. If you guys can see there. And all I'm going to do is then fold my other half over my filling, right? Start with your top first, right? By pressing down firmly and around your filling. It's best to shape around your filling so that you can avoid those air pockets.
That should look like a little pillow.
Yeah.
When you're done pressing it out.
So for the people at home, I'm going to do a nice easy ravioli shape, and we're just going to do little squares. I'm going to use the fancy side of my cutter.
They can use pizza cutters as well if they have.
You can use a pizza cutter.
Knife. But make sure that your knives are sharp. Because if you cut through too much, you can always just spoil your pockets.
Right, and there you've got your filled ravioli with butternut and pine nuts, or like we've used your pumpkin seeds. I chose pumpkin seeds because, duh, you are making pumpkin, so what better flavor to add than its own flavor, right? So that's why we use pumpkin seeds. I like to use the natural ingredients, right? So if you're doing pumpkin, use pumpkin seeds instead of pine nuts. Pine nuts are expensive,
yeah, and it's cost effective as well to use.
Cost effective to use. I'm just going to set those aside. I'm going to boil them last minute just while I'm finishing my sauce. Because your brown butter sauce, you want to plate your cooked ravioli, and then you want to just pour your brown butter sauce over, and you're going to garnish with little seeds or nuts and coriander and whatever you need to, right? We're going to do, today we went out shopping, Chef Nadia and myself, and although the recipe says sage, you can use any herb, right? So we've chosen to then change it up to basil. So basil is quite fine, coriander is fine, sage crisps up nicely, but basil will do the same trick. Okay.
Got another question from Cami. If you are using a pasta machine, do you use the thinnest level?
No, you want to go up until, I think your pasta machine goes to 10. So you want to go up to, say, setting number 7, and that is perfect for ravioli. Okay, if the guys don't know what I'm talking about, okay. So we've got our pasta machine there, right? And on the side of the pasta machine, we've got a little dial that we have to pull. And we always start with your number 1, which is your widest setting. Otherwise, the pasta won't go through the machine, right? We're going to start with 1, work the pasta through once by rolling it through, right? Once it's gone through the first time, we're going to fold it in half because we're trying to laminate the pasta and give it that extra layer, right? We're going to go through it another time. Then we go to setting number 2, twice. Setting number 3, twice. But you're not going to do any folds, right? And then when we reach number 7, so there's 9 settings on a pasta machine. Number 7 is the one that you want for ravioli. Just enough to bite through, not too thick, and then it's also not too thin so that the filling falls out. Okay.
Thank you, Chef.
Okay. So now I'm going to move on to my brown butter sauce. So brown butter sauce is basically a burnt butter sauce. We're just going to need, I think the recipe asks you for 60 grams or 30 grams of butter. Right. So we've got our butter over there. I'm going to start my pan off. You want your pan on a medium heat, right? Otherwise, your butter is going to burn too quickly, right? So just nice medium heat. If you're looking at your gas stove or your house stove there, your smallest setting or your smallest burner, that will give you a good medium heat on the full temperature, right?
On non-gas stoves, would we go 4, 5?
Your smaller on 4. Yeah, 4 is your medium heat. So once your stove is nicely heated up, put your pan on, and you should just feel the heat through the pan, and that's the temperature that you want. Okay. Just waiting for my pan to heat up, and then I'm going to just add my butter, and we're going to slowly melt the butter in the pan, swirling occasionally. Right?
I've got another question from Gloria. You have to cook this pasta if you want to make a lasagna. So she wants to know if you want to cook it first before making lasagna?
I've got 2 tips, right? You can cook it before you make lasagna, but there's an easy way for, I know exactly where your question comes from because that used to be my struggle when I was younger, making lasagna with very raw pasta, right? The secret is that your sauce and your bechamel, or in other words, your white sauce, has to be hot, right? That partially cooks or steams your pasta before it goes in the oven. So if your mince, whatever your filling is, your meat sauce, the meat sauce is hot, and your bechamel is hot, then you won't have a problem with the pasta coming out raw after it's baked. So when you leave it on that heat there while you are filling your pasta or your lasagna or building your lasagna, that there is enough heat to pre-cook your pasta there.
And I think that fresh pasta cooks a lot better than
fresh pasta cooks
dry
faster.
pasta.
Yeah, cooks faster because it doesn't have to hydrate again. Right? Remember, it's been dehydrated, the dried pasta, so it needs to get that water moisture in before it actually starts cooking. With fresh pasta, the cooking starts immediately. You're looking at a good, like 3 minutes, Chef?
Yeah, 3 to 4.
3 to 4 minutes.
Then Elizwa wants to know, are we using salted butter?
Salted butter is fine. You want that. Salted butter is actually best because that will give the flavor to the sauce. If you're on a low sodium diet, obviously you can use unsalted butter. Just remember that we're going to finish the dish with a sprinkle of salt anyway.
And we wouldn't suggest margarine for the sauce.
Margarine has got a tendency to split, and also because there's too much fat in the margarine. When you're serving this to your guests there, you might have a fatty deposit on your plate. So butter or clarified or burnt butter works better. Doing it on a medium heat actually allows the fat to go to the sides, and you've got a nice clear butter in the middle. So it will never set again. Okay.
Then sous vide. If your pasta flops, can you soften lasagna sheets and use those?
Yes, you can. Then you have to cook them in boiling water first, pat them dry, and then use them as per recipe. Okay. So what you're looking for, another smell-o-vision, right, is for your center of your butter just to brown, right? So you're looking for a nice nutty brown color. The nuttier the butter, the better it is. When you've reached the browning stage, your brown butter is actually done. Right? All I'm going to do is take some of my basil leaf after I've taken my butter off the heat. Right? Just waiting for it to brown a little bit more.
I've got another question from Nadia. She wants to know, do we use both sauces with the ravioli? There's just options. Okay, so you can either do the butter sauce with the ravioli, or you can do a cream sauce. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, it's like that ad, with the bed, without the bed, doesn't matter. If your husband prefers the creamy sauce, this is how we eat out, right? Your waiter will come to you and ask, sir, would you like a tomato-based sauce or cream-based sauce? Right? These are both actually like cream-based, right? Because butter comes from cow, where cream comes from, so it's cream-based sauce, right? And then some people like me prefers the tomato sauce. I don't get the heartburn. I don't suffer with the heartburn like other people. So it depends on what you want. So serve half an hour. I've taken my pan off the heat, and then your sage or your basil or your coriander will then crisp up in that butter. So while that's happening, rapidly boiling water, guys. You cannot cook pasta in cold water. You need it to cook immediately, right? So we're looking for rapidly boiling water, also adding salt to the water. The salt actually makes your water boil at a higher temperature than 100 degrees Celsius. It takes the water right up to 107 degrees Celsius, and that is causing the rolling boil that you need for pasta.
Then with our homemade pasta, do we add some oil like we would normally with dry pasta?
Look, ravioli you don't need because they are quite separate pastas. If you're using things like your tagliatelle, spaghetti, all those things, then yes, I would suggest. I'm not a fan because oil and water do not mix, so the oil actually floats to the top. So it's actually doing nothing to separate the pasta. Your rapid boiling water is what you really, really need. Just waiting for my water to come up to boil. Okay. Can you guys see the brown butter there?
Nadia says she's going to do a combo bowl. She likes doing a tomato sauce creamy.
Creamy tomato sauce.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. Just your processing of your tomatoes needs to be good because you don't want chunky bits in a creamy sauce. There's always that mouthfeel that makes you eat comfortably. So sometimes if the creamy sauce is too chunky, it makes you sort of eat with a pause in between.
Then Elise, well, butternut usually goes well with cinnamon. So would it be too much to add cinnamon to this brown butter sauce or nutmeg?
Nutmeg more than cinnamon. Your cinnamon in the butter sauce will give you a more of a burnt flavor, especially if you're making burnt butter. If you're just making a creamy butter or a cream sauce, then nothing is too much in the kitchen there. Cinnamon, allspice, star anise, cloves, all those flavors go well. And you can actually do a red wine sauce with all those flavors as well. So you're going to make a nice red wine sauce and add all those aromatics in there, and that's what I like. That's the flavors I like as well.
But the butter gives such a nutty flavor that you don't even need to add cinnamon or nutmeg at all.
Yeah. Have you guys tried to make a butter sauce, like a burnt butter sauce? You see there that the butter hasn't actually. Usually you'll get smoke, right? But because I kept it on a medium heat, the butter's actually just turned brown and it hasn't actually dirtied in the pan.
So that's the color you actually want.
Yeah. And it will smell like caramel.
Okay, then Alberto, can you make long pasta and use the cream sauce so that two flavors on your plate?
Two flavors.
So
pasta,
maybe
one flavor.
Ravioli with the butter and then a longer pasta with the cream sauce.
Yes. Your longer pastas or your thin pastas like tagliatelle, they like thin creamy sauces. So very, very good. Your heavier sauces like tomato sauce will go better with your shell noodles, the screw noodles, penne, all those rigatoni, all those ones. Yeah, like heavier sauces. Okay. My water is boiling, guys. I'm going to pop it in with ravioli, like your potato dumplings as well. When you pop it in the water, a good sign that it's almost done will be when they actually rise to the surface, right? Then I will give it another minute or so after it's risen to the surface, and then I know my pasta is perfectly cooked. Okay. So now I'm going to prepare for plating chicken. Just give my counter a nice little wipe here. I'm still going to. Yeah.
Okay, so when we plate pasta, Chef Donovan, what bowl or plate would you suggest we use?
Okay, because you are making pasta with a sauce, a nice deep bowl. I've got a nice deep bowl here that shows off the pasta very nicely. Right? Your big bowl with a slight indentation there catches the sauce quite nicely. You don't want anything too big or too flat, otherwise the sauce just separates from the pasta. So you want something to concentrate in the center of the bowl. Are you guys doing fine there at home?
They are very silent currently. I think they're just observing and catching the tips that you're giving them.
Okay. I just want to show how the pasta is actually starting to float to the top of the surface. So it was at the bottom of the pot, and then they've come up to the top. And that's an indication that the pasta is now actually starting to cook and it's becoming lighter. You give it a stir.
Just to float to the top before taking it out.
Before taking it out, yes. Okay. You want a nice little bite on your pasta. And that is what we call in the industry al dente. It means to the tooth or to the bite. Right? So you should have a nice little bite that shouldn't be too soft.
Then Helen wants to know, did you blend the pumpkin seeds in with the butternut? She just caught up with us recently, so.
Okay, I did half the pumpkin seeds and half the Parmesan cheese, right? with your garlic and butternut. Yes. Okay. Almost done there.
So our viewers are cooking with us, as I can read here, some of them are falling a little bit behind. So please send in your pictures, guys, of what you made. We'd love to see your
I would love to see it.
Share it with us via Facebook, Instagram, and we can view. And I'm sure Chef Donovan will give you some compliments or two.
Yes, obviously. Thank you for being our friends, guys. The Herald and ourselves are enjoying it a lot, hearing back from you. So the more feedback we get, the better. Right? We live for your feedback, guys.
Then Lindy, will this demonstration be available later? Yes, Lindy, it will be on all the Herald's social media platforms. So you can catch the whole demonstration on Facebook, Instagram. It will be available to you.
I think we're just about ready, Chef. With ravioli, you don't rinse it under the tap again, right? You just want to gently let the water run off, and then you can actually start plating. Okay. Always a nice presentation side to the top. Are we eating all four, Chef?
Yes, let's go for it.
Okay, let's go for all four. Right, so I've got my four at the bottom of my plate there. And then what we want to do is we want to just pour that lovely burnt butter sauce over.
So good. Parmesan.
And some. Okay. Then we're going to sprinkle the rest of the Parmesan. Parmesan adds an extra creaminess, guys.
And we love cheese.
Ah, love cheese. Right? And then the pièce de resistance, the final step there is just to sprinkle some pine nuts or your pumpkin seeds over. And then it is there for you to enjoy, guys.
Definitely.
Are you bringing us tasters?
So the cream sauce, guys, we didn't present it. We presented as the original recipe. But if you try it at home, it will have the same effect on your butternut, just with a little bit of spice to it, just for that winter feeling, because we all like a bit of spiciness during winter. But you can have it as is as well.
Okay. So thank you for joining us in our kitchen. Thank you, Herald. Thank you, ThreePeaks and Checkers, Capsicum Culinary Studios, for their lovely studio. And please, please, please join us on the next masterclass. Hope to get your feedback, pictures of your dishes, what it tastes like. So Chef Nadia and myself will sign off now, and we will say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.